I'm coming at you live on tape from Sydney, Ohio. I know that was less than enthusiastic, but I'm kind of tired tonight. Now, we're doing the movie Terror Train 2, the Tubi original one, not the original one. This is the sequel to the Tubi original movie Terror Train, which I never seen. So the first time I watched this, I was a little lost. It was shot back to back with that movie, so that shows that Tubi had a lot of faith in the movie Terror Train. That was shot in Quebec, and I do believe the movie is supposed to take place in Canada. And I will point out those reasons as we go. Now, it starts out with they call her the final girl. I don't like calling her a final girl because a lot of people survived from the first one, but she was the one who killed Carney in the first one. Elena, supposed to do an autopsy for her to get her medical degree, and she freaks out and sees the body of her dead friend on the table and runs away. Then we see her and her friend at home, her and her roommate Claudia at home, and Claudia says they need to go on the terror train, which has been re-put together to face Elena's fears like her therapist once. And then Elena reluctantly agrees, and we see the train coming out of what I assume is the train, whatever they call those things, trains stay in the night. And we see the title, Terror Train 2. Then we cut to the tracks where the train is being loaded, and we see Black Guy, who survived the first one, whose name I don't know. I don't think they say his name during any of this movie. And him and his friend, the Will, why his name is the Will, I guess he's going to leave things to people, who has a knife and a dildo to fight off the killer. He seems overly enthusiastic about using the dildo, much like Canadian cops are about using the dildos they carry. We also see Pip and Mary, who has made this journey all about them and to get more followers. We see Sadie from the first one, or is her name Sadia? Her name might be Sadia. She's an Indian chick who is in charge of the train, and her her security, the only security guy on the train who is well equipped for this trip, not because he has a gun or a dildo, but because he knows karate, announcing that he is the security for the trip, and he is non-binary, so I will no longer refer to him as a guy, I will refer to them as he is them. So them, the security person, who knows karate, announcing there are no weapons and no smoking, but there is Wi-Fi. We then see the Will almost get left by the train because he's pissing on the train, which is always a good start for a train trip, to piss on the side of it. It means good luck. And barely gets on the train and then gets murdered by a person in a clown costume. The magician is also there, even though he got stabbed 8 times in the first one. But luckily, it was in all those non-vital organs you need. So then Pip and Mary go on the party and show all their followers the Black Guy. And Elena and Claudia drags Elena out to the party, in which people ask for her autograph. But she freaks out in the party zone and runs away and hides, to which point Sadia comes in and says they are friends for life, and she always has her back. At which point the magician continues to drink. Then a girl dressed up as a train conductor in a mask chases Elena with an axe. Now, this is just a random girl. This isn't the killer or anything. Chases Elena with an axe till the magician breaks her nose, and then she threatens to sue the magician. Now, I don't know how any of this works because you're chasing a girl with an axe and you don't expect someone to stop you. I mean, it's a real axe. So this must be a Canadian thing that they chase each other with axes all the time. I think this is a Canadian tradition. Now, I will say this about this movie. Even though it is Canadian, we never see poutine. We never see anyone put maple syrup on macaroni and cheese. And we never see anyone ask for a Molson. So then, Elena, Pip, Mary, and the magician go to a room to settle their differences after Pip and Elena almost get in a fist fight, which we would like to see in Mud. And this guy comes in dressed as a dinosaur-headed monk, which I guess is a reference to the first movie, trying to get their picture, but Mary thinks he's cute after he takes the dinosaur head off and goes to have sex with him. Where Elena sees him when she comes out of a bathroom nearby, getting strangled, and screams. Mary comes out and says, "Look, he's still alive," when the dinosaur-headed monk with the mask on shows that he is still alive, but he refused to take his mask off. And Mary and him go in the room, and he kills Mary. And then they're all watching it on their friends on this site. Everybody on the train is watching this on a site called Murder Fiend, which is like a social media site for people being murdered, I guess. I don't know. But Elena sees it, and so does Sadia, and they think it's real, while everybody else thinks it's a fake out. So Sadia and a non-binary person who knows karate and still has an axe, because they teach you a lot about axes in karate. I learned that when I took karate, which I didn't take. When I took axe karate, goes to look for Mary, but they can't find her body, so they think it's a fake out. So then Elena goes to talk with the magician, and Sadia and goes to check the lounge room again because she can't find Mary, and then finds her under the couch cushion, and then Sadia dies from the dinosaur monk. And then Elena meets up with the security person, and goes to find Sadia and finds her dead with Mary. At which point, there's a lockdown. And the black guy goes out to find his friend, the Will, and anyone else he can find, though the security person says to stay together. And the security person, who I just remember his name is Xander, goes out to go get the flare gun, which is the only gun on the train. Now, if you may notice, I'm stuttering more tonight. It's because I'm really, really tired. Meanwhile, the magician stole Claudia's phone and found out she's the moderator of Murder Fiend, which pisses Elena off. So Xander's been gone a long time. And so Elena, Claudia, Pip, and the magician go after him to find the flare gun and find Xander's body dead and a shrine to Carney, the killer in the first one, made up in the cargo hold. But Claudia turns the lights on and she has the flare gun. Now, this is another reason I think it happens in Canada, because there's no real guns on this damn train. If it happened in America, they'd have a whole car full of guns. Machine guns, pistols, rocket launchers, bazookas, grenades, you name it. They wouldn't just have a security guy who knows karate. So Elena goes to talk her down. Well, the magician goes in with an axe. She takes the axe from the magician and bonks him in the head with the wooden end. And then Pip stabs her in the stomach with this. It's a medieval weapon. I don't remember what it's called, but it's got a pointy end and a round end at front. And her guts come out. So Elena freaks out. But Pip goes back and says, I am the hero. I stopped the killer. And tells all her followers about how brave she is. Meanwhile, Elena tends to the blood gushing out of the magician's head, which is only because it's a head wound, and I can assure you, heads bleed a lot. I used to shave my head, and I cut myself all the time, and I'd have blood just gushing down the side of my head when it happened. Head wounds bleed a lot. Then again, if you cut yourself just right on your finger, you can have your whole hand covered in blood. That's always fun, too. So then Pip, when Elena goes to get ibuprofen, which is what it looks like the bottle is, goes in to seduce the magician, but Elena finds Claudia's phone and watches the Murder Fiend app and finds out Pip killed Mary and goes in to confront her, at which point Pip stabs the magician in another non-vital organ because he says clearly he has nothing wrong with him. And then her and Elena fight and Elena kills her. And that's pretty much the end. We never really find out what happened to the black guy. And they all live happily ever after. Now, this movie is not very good. If I made it sound very good, it is not very good. But it's rated TVMA for some reason. I think it's because of the blood and guts. But I mean, what child doesn't love blood and guts? So I'm going to re-rate it a G. Feel free to show this to a 3-year-old. I mean, 3-year-olds like horror movies. And they like blood and guts. I mean, there's no nudity in it. There's very little foul language. And just blood and guts. And 3-year-olds love that. So join me Friday going into Saturday, where there will actually be a song this week called Men Don't Cry. So see you then.